Why the Buffalo Bills are going to turn the Green Bay Packers into some fondue. Hey Bills Mafia, welcome to my channel, Bills News Consolidated. In today's video, we're going to discuss the player matchups. Another huge loss for the Green Bay Packers offense is left tackle Bakhtiari and left guard Jenkins are questionable for this game, both dealing with knee injuries. Bakhtiari, one of the top left tackles in this league, going against one of the best, if not the best, defensive end pass rusher, Von Miller for the Buffalo Bills. Knowing that he's not 100% going against Von Miller is a huge advantage for the Bills. Josh Nijman, the starting right tackle for the Green Bay Packers, is 6'7", going against 6'6", 6'7" Greg Rousseau. Usually Rousseau has a reach advantage, but in this matchup, it's going to be pretty much even. That's why we know Von Miller can play both sides. He can play the left, he can play the right. I'd like Von Miller coming over here, getting matched up with Josh Nijman. Von Miller is 85 speed, 86 acceleration. Bakhtiari, 67 speed, 68 acceleration. Right tackle has 75 overall speed, 79 acceleration. It's the bend though too. It's not only the speed, 6'7". How is that right tackle going to be able to reach Von Miller? Interior offensive line for the Green Bay Packers versus the Buffalo Bills. Interior defensive line with Jordan Phillips, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, Tim Settle. I really think this is a game for some power football. Daquan Jones, Jordan Phillips, utilizing their size. Jenkins, Myers, and Runyon all average around 300 to 310 pounds. That's why I'm foreseeing Jordan Phillips, Daquan Jones to really utilize their strength against. The Packers play some of the most zone in the NFL, and these are the guys that we're going to be going against. Therefore, we really aren't going to have a lot of one-on-one matchups. We're going to see Diggs matched up on all three, Gabe Davis matched up on all three. The times that they do play man coverage, it would make more sense to have Rasul Douglas matched up on Gabe Davis. He's a little bit slower. He's a stronger cornerback. It'd be a better matchup against a Gabe Davis. Now, a guy like Stokes, he's one of the fastest cornerbacks in the NFL. He can run with anybody. When you look at Diggs, Davis, and McKenzie, it's going to be a tough matchup versus these three. Diggs, Davis, and McKenzie don't only have a hard matchup. Dawson Knox does too, going against Quay Walker and Devondre Campbell. These interior linebackers are blitzing and pass rushing the second fewest in the league. It's safe to say that Knox will be matched up on both these guys, which is arguably one of the hardest matchups for Knox this season. The Packers are 27th overall at stopping the run this season. So although they have the 7th best defense, they are 27th overall at stopping the run. That's why a guy like Devin Singletary should have a huge game, and also a guy like Josh Allen, who continues to put the game on his back for the Buffalo Bills. The leading rusher for the Buffalo Bills is Josh Allen. And you could also throw in James Cook here. I think he could easily break one off for a long game. Those three stout defensive tackles in that 3-4 scheme for the Packers here. You got Dean Lowry, Kenny Clark, and Jared Reed. Overall strength ratings for all these are 86, 96, and 89. The overall strength ratings for Saffold, Morris, and Bates is 87, 92, and 86. Rashawn Gary is tied for 5th in the NFL with 6 sacks, and also Preston Smith is tied for 32nd in the NFL with 3.5 sacks. Deion Dawkins going against Rashawn Gary most likely here. You could see the matchup. I don't know how much switching they do of those outside linebackers, but Deion Dawkins versus Preston Smith still going to be able to hold up. Spencer Brown is out for Buffalo, so that leaves David Quessenberry most likely going against Preston Smith. Preston Smith has 80 overall speed, Quessenberry 66, and then the strength rating, Quessenberry is actually stronger at 85, Smith is 82. Robert Tonyan, the receiving tight end for the Green Bay Packers, 79 overall, 87 overall speed, 90 acceleration, going against Matt Milano, Tremaine Edmonds. Look at the speed ratings. Tremaine Edmonds is just as fast as Tonyan. Milano is just 186 overall compared to 87. The Bills have the interior linebackers to run along Tonyan. Here's the receiving core for the Green Bay Packers versus the Buffalo Bills. Sammy Watkins, Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson. Dobbs and Watson are both rookies this year. Knowing the Bills have rookies Christian Benford, Kyer Elam, and then also Dane Jackson on the outside, you can see that the matchups here are pretty evenly matched, and considering that their struggles so far for the Packers. And just to show you how good the back end of that defense is for the Green Bay Packers, Adrian Amos is 88 overall, Darnell Savage is 77 overall, and Jordan Poyer is 91 overall. So it kind of shows you what they're capable of here. Are the Packers' issues about scheme, or is it because of talent? Who would have thought with 7 first-round picks on the defensive side of the football to have struggles on the defensive side of the football, as well as last year and the year before that's NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers, them struggling offensively this year, losing Devontae Adams. But as the season starts to develop, we're starting to realize more things, and the Green Bay Packers are really going to have to reinvent themselves going forward. On the defensive side of the football, the Green Bay Packers with those 7 first-round picks have all the talent in the world, but they're not utilizing their strengths, and they don't have a system in place that will maximize their abilities. And on the offensive side of the football, they have Aaron Rodgers. They have an extremely smart playbook and head coach, but not the players to execute. So what can the Green Bay Packers do to fix this? 7 first-round draft picks for the Green Bay Packers: Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, Quay Walker, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, and Darnell Savage. So what is ultimately wrong with the Green Bay Packers defense? I mean, they had the 7th best defense in the NFL, and we're complaining, right? Their fans are complaining, the national media is complaining about their defense not playing up to par. 7th best defense is no slouch of a task, especially when this offense really has done no favors to help the defense. Throw on the film and you'll see the Packers players just being put in disadvantaged situations and spots as players miscommunicate on rules and responsibilities, leaving open receivers streaking across the field. Crossing routes especially have caused the Packers a lot of issues. Zone coverage, Green Bay has allowed 134.3 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. Only the Steelers are worse. The Packers in man coverage, although they've only had 9 snaps so far in man coverage this year, they are the 6th best. The Packers are primarily a zone team. They played 19.1% of the time in quarters, with both safeties sticking to their halves of the field, or they rotate one safety into the box and the other into the center of the field to play cover 3. That's 44.6% of the time. The fact that the Packers don't play much man coverage is surprising to the fact that the talent that they have on their defense. With Alexander, Stokes, Douglas, Amos, Savage, and the options available for a stifling man coverage defense, the Packers just don't do it. Look at the Packers' third down success rate and see that it's 70%, but it's really because of their lack of success on first and second downs. Teams are not even getting to third down. They're just maintaining yards, and they're only having first and second downs. So teams aren't even having to play third down against the Green Bay Packers. What could be affecting those stats even more is the Packers leading the league in blitz rate on first and second down at 43.2%, but they technically aren't really blitzing. They're sending 5+ rushers because of how often they line up in 5 down fronts. Now, with the 3 interior defensive linemen flanked by those big outside linebackers, Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith, the Packers don't really have anyone they want to drop off into coverage. Earlier this year, they dropped back Preston Smith into coverage to cover Justin Jefferson and just looked horrible. So they tend to just rush all 5. Technically, that's not really a blitz, and even the Packers, they don't have a defensive back with 4 pass rushing snaps this season. At linebacker, Smith and Gary are rushing over 90% of their snaps, while the true off-ball linebackers, Quay Walker and Devontae Campbell, are rushing on 15.6% of their snaps. Devondre Campbell is rushing the passer, the 6th lowest linebacker in the NFL this year. On early downs, the Packers line up in 4 or 5 rushers and then send those 4 or 5 guys. They don't do many stunts or twists at the line of scrimmage. They're very predictable, or they don't really change where their rushers are even coming from. The Packers are only one of 2 teams in the NFL so far with no snaps of only 3 rushers on their 4 total snaps of 6+ rushers in one of the league's lowest numbers. And behind that pass rush, they play a soft zone coverage in cover 3 or quarters in hopes that you'll stumble your way into third down. They're hoping that you're in a 3rd and long situation where their pass pass rushers can tee off the edge and get to you. This is a very straightforward, predictable way to play defense. The solution for the Green Bay Packers is to get creative, and that's another reason why I'm nervous for this game, is because the Green Bay Packers at any point can start to get creative. It's not that they lack talent on the defensive side of the football, it's that their scheme and their defensive coordinator is just not utilizing their strengths. If they start playing a little bit more zone, if they start maybe blitzing a little bit less, the 7th best defense in the NFL going against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Yes, Green Bay's not really happy with their defense, but a top 10 defense, 7th best in the NFL. I don't know how much change we're ultimately going to see from Green Bay. What is really hurting the Green Bay Packers so far in 2022 is this offense. Offensively, they have the scheme, they have the smarts, they have the quarterback, but they don't have the talent. Rodgers' completion percentage has plummeted, and also his inaccurate pass rate has increased. So it's a combination of not only wide receivers and his weapons not being there, Rodgers is not playing up to the same level that he's been playing at. He does have a good excuse. Davante Adams, arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, gets traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. He doesn't have him this year. Major adjustment, having rookie wide receivers to throw to. Also the loss of Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Packers expected this fall off. Obviously losing the best wide receiver in the game, Davante Adams, the Packers had to come up with a different way offensively to be successful. So this expected tailing off for the Green Bay Packers offense was supposed to be kind of supplemented by this defense, which it somewhat is. Yes, they can improve, and we saw that they have the talent. It's more so scheme and kind of utilizing their players to the best of their abilities. They're still trying to figure that out, and at any week they can figure that out. But this here, post offense without Davante Adams, they were trying to do it with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, Aaron Rodgers, before the season started, mentioned that A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones would potentially each have 50 receptions this season. One of the ways the Packers wanted to create a post-Davante Adams offense was with 2 back sets, putting Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon on the field at the same time. The Packers believed they could force defenses into base sets, run those RPOs with the backs motioning out of the backfield, and find a downfield passing games and play action off of it. This has not remotely happened for the Packers so far this season. They've only averaged 4 yards per play out of this set and a success rate of 37.8 when utilizing the dual sets. Now, with one or fewer backs on the field, they're at 5.92 yards per play and a 46% success rate. And also, their explosive plays that wins you freaking football games has dropped at a 4.4% in a 2-back set. With one or fewer backs, they're tripled. That number goes to 13.2% explosive plays with only one or no running backs on the field for the Green Bay Packers. It leaves the Packers offense in a very tricky spot. With the 2 back personnel scrapped, the Packers are now stuck throwing all of their short game RPOs, many of which develop behind the line of scrimmage, to a player who definitely are not as dangerous with the ball in their hand. The Packers swing a route 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage to Dillon, or a quick screen to Adams. It felt dangerous because the ball carrier was dangerous. Now the ball is going to Robert Tonyan, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and Lazard. Only players for the Packers that are gaining yards when catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage so far are Aaron Jones and Tonyan. Taking a look at this game, I really believe the Buffalo Bills will be turning the Green Bay Packers into some fondue when you consider their offensive struggles, not having the talent on offense, not having the wide receivers there for Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball to, them having to scrap their offensive playbook so early in the season with those dual running back sets, not being explosive out of those dual running back sets. This offense is kind of in a transition. And then on the other side of the football, the 7th best defense in the NFL, but 7 first-round picks on that defensive side, not playing up to par, not being creative, the twists, the stunts, the blitz, nothing. Very vanilla for the Packers on the defense, especially going against Josh Allen and one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL this week. I really think the Buffalo Bills will be turning these Packers into some fondue. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe for future content, long form, short form, going live during the game, doing doing the play-by-play. Hopefully we'll be getting you guys live during the game as well to chat, talk things up, all about the Buffalo Bills here at Bills News Consolidated. I will check you guys soon. Go Bills! Peace.